The Joe Rogan Experience.
So, dude, let's just get into this, man. We had this conversation at the Comedy Store. I'm like, you got to come on the podcast. We got to talk about this because you are a part of probably the most iconic boxing interview of our day. You with Deontay Wilder. When Deontay Wilder freaked out on you, it became this huge, huge fucking thing. To this day.
To this day.
To this day. He puts it on his Instagram. He puts it in hashtags. Till this day.
He sells sweatshirts with "till this day" on them. There's a store that's adjacent to the Barclays Center. It's connected to the Barclays Center, and it's full of shit that says "to this day" on it. He had a grand opening there. I was invited to it. Like, this is so not just an iconic meme. This is now a major part of my identity.
Do people associate you with it though? Do they like automatically, or do they just because it's you see the side of your face, but you see him angry as fuck, arguably the scariest heavyweight of all time. I mean, Mike Tyson's right up there. See, off ring, outside the ring, Deontay is a sweetheart. He's a really nice guy. So to see him angry outside the ring is kind of weird because I had him on the podcast. He couldn't be a nicer guy.
Yeah, it's true.
He's a really nice guy. And so to see him angry at you to this day and like giving you crazy eyes, that was like, oh, and when you explained it, it's like, yeah, that's what you do in an interview. You want someone to expand and say, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, and listen, man, this is not like the first day we met. It's not like I just happened upon this heavyweight champion of the world screaming and decided to piss him off. We've had multiple conversations, sat down for hours at a time. In fact, in Belfast, in Germany, or Ireland, I'm sorry, we sat down for an hour. And so I'm going to give you the context of what I was thinking in the moment.
Okay.
Right? He's on stage.
Tell it, because some people might not be aware of exactly what happened, so just try to.
Okay. So
there it is right there.
In a couple weeks, we're going to see it again. I don't know if we're going to see the exact same thing happen.
It comes up.
It's going to come up.
It's seasonal.
Deontay Wilder is facing Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is a British gypsy, okay? He is a boisterous, very animated showman in boxing. Heavyweights, mind you. These guys are giants. First time they met. This is December 18. So I travel the world covering boxing. Everywhere. Like I said, I sat down with this guy in Ireland. I've covered Tyson Fury in England. I've covered him in America. I've covered boxing literally everywhere. So I'm familiar with what you also know, that fighting, even combat sports, boxing, MMA, there's a regional aspect to it. Like, everybody's culture brings something to it. The Irish fighter feels like he's got a certain style. He's got a certain history. He's got a claim to the warrior legacy. Same for the British fighter, of course, the American fighter. But both of these guys come from what's like an underclass of their society. Travelers, gypsies. Yeah. In England are looked down upon. These people are cultural fighters. And I don't mean necessarily just the oppression of being an underclass, but fighting is part of their tradition, almost like it is to Mexicans in Mexico. It's something that they do that bonds the clan. They believe in the history of it. Obviously, Deontay Wilder's from Alabama. You know, he's as dark as midnight. He is a descendant of slaves for sure. Okay? He's got a history coming to any fight, bringing what he experiences in this country to this element of the face-off, one man versus one man. So when Tyson Fury is on stage during the press conference, it's something possessed him to say, you know, I'm coming from a fighting people. My people have been fighting for 200 years. Well, in context, he means that the culture of travelers, of gypsies, is one of, we're fighting men. I'm a fighting man. That's something that they say about themselves and each other. So that's what he's bringing to this argument. That's how he's challenging Wilder. But Wilder takes that and says, 200 years of fight? My people have been fighting for 400 years. Of course, he's talking about the black experience in America, slavery, all alike. But mind you, he's talking to a British fighter. He's talking to a world audience. It's not like he's fighting Dominic Brazil. You understand? Where it's two Americans, probably not going to get that much international attention. The world's watching. particularly communities that don't necessarily know when a black man says 400 years. You know, I know, you know, because we grew up in America. You know what we're talking about. The world doesn't know that. I travel the world. They're not steeped in Black American history. I've had conversations with him. He loves to talk about the plight of the black man in America and how it relates to his career, how he feels, disadvantaged in certain ways, and he carries the mantle in other ways. He's a champion of Black America in certain ways, and he's a victim of white America in other ways. So when I see this argument happening, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is definitely a moment. But I'm not a pool reporter, right? So in this particular instance, it's unusual for me to be part of the scrum, is what they call it. Collection of reporters. Everybody's kind of shouting questions out, just trying to evoke responses. Usually I'm a one-on-one guy. I'll wait my turn, right? But on this particular day, I didn't have a haircut. I wasn't really, I just got back from Dubai. I went in Dubai with Dave Chappelle. I'm hanging out. It's after Thanksgiving. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to kind of mail this one in, to be honest. I'm thinking, let me throw something out because I know what he's talking about, and I also know that the audience around us, in the world especially, may not have caught that reference. But it's a high watermark right now. It's Thursday, and the fight's Saturday.
So he's amped up.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Fight week, fighters are not themselves. It's not the guy you were sitting across from doing the experience. You know what I mean? That guy was having a good day. This guy's been waiting to fight for at least 3 months, if not, 10 weeks.
Ramped up.
Ramped, right? He comes off stage, he answers a couple of other questions, and then, just to be sure, because I've been doing this a long time, I'm not an idiot, I know he's amped, and I want him to get the question clearly. Deontay, Radio Rahim. I say my name so he knows who it's coming from. Not because he doesn't know me, but because he does. Right. So, Radio Rahim, you just said your people have been fighting for 400 years. Okay, first of all, I'm in the midst of my question. Right. I don't do these things haphazardly. I word my questions very carefully.
Yes.
But in the ears of Black America, later in the story, you'll find out that your people, that part of the question, became incredibly important, and people were very sensitive about that.
Because you said your people instead of our people.
Your people instead of our people.
Right.
But I'm fucking quoting the guy.
Right.
Okay? I'm not speaking for him. I'm quoting what he said. He said, my people have been fighting for 400 years. So if he had said our people, I would have said our people. But I can't take possession of your quote. It's not me saying it.
Right.
It's you saying it.
Right.
Your people have been fighting for 400 years. What did you mean by that? So, laser focus, turns to me. He's already at 10. Like, there's no ramp up at this time. And he starts, shouting in my face, like, your people too. Like, you know what I'm talking about. He says, don't try to bait. You know what I'm talking about when I say these things. When I'm like, well, yeah, I do. Can you tell them what you're talking about?
You're trying to get him to expand.
I'm trying to get him to explain to the world what he said to me on numerous occasions in different interviews and off camera. I know exactly what he's talking about, and I know that this is the moment that he finally gets to talk about it to people who have never been listening to him before.
Right.
But when he heard it was a trigger for him too. I'm so oblivious, and even looking back, I'm like, man, how did you miss that? I swear to God, I didn't know what the fuck was the problem. He starts saying, shouting your people, and I'm like, well, it took me he needed to keep saying it because I didn't know why he was saying that. Yeah, my people too. My people too. Oh. There's a moment I'm like, oh, uh-oh. Oh, no. I thought he was shouting at them.
Oh, my
goodness. Our people have been fighting for 400 years. To this day. And so what I thought was happening was that, okay, this moment now has become about him like attacking me because he thinks I'm attacking him. He thinks because I do know what he's talking about. He knows we've spoken about it numerous times. He thinks I'm pretending not to know, like some, air quotes, Uncle Tom or what, the numerous names I've been called on the internet since, as though I'm trying to pretend like, what 400 years? What does that mean? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, fine.
So when he's screaming at you, what is going through your mind when he's hitting you with? Is it to this day or till this day? Because there is a debate on that.
First of all,
let's see. Let's play it. Play it.
There we go.
Explain what you mean by that. You know what I'm talking about. Y'all all know what I'm talking about, man. Don't sit up here and try to bait and not know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what the fuck I talk about when I say these things. Your people too.
Explain it. Not everybody knows what you're talking about.
Radio Rahim, I don't have to explain what's understood, man. You know what I mean by that. You know what I said by that. I ain't got to go further. And if anybody don't understand that, then God be with them. Go look up the history. Go look up the history. Shit, don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that shit. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what. I dare you to sit up there and say, explain. You know what I'm talking about, man. He's fighting people. You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day. You just sit here and you don't know what I'm talking about? Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Come on, let's go, man.
Fuck.
Yeah. Okay, see, you don't have to keep playing it, but just so you know, there's more to this video. In fact, the last thing I said is, we know what he's talking about. That's what I just said at the end. But that clip everyone in the world has seen fits very neatly on Instagram in a minute.
Oh, no.
Right? So you missed the beginning and the end, but the
welcome
drama,
to 2020 or 19 or welcome to the new age of clips and things being taken out of context.
So listen, this is not the first time I've had an interview that has, gotten major attention. Not the first time a fighter has been pissed off at me. I knew that this was going to be a big thing. Like, I knew people were going to talk about it. Bro, I had no fucking concept of what was about to happen to my night. Like, I'm like, basically, when you're a reporter like this, you're like, okay, well, that was dramatic. We got a hot one. That one might get me a few 100,000, if not 1 million views, maybe. Like, this is, we got the champ. But also, I'm thinking, it's something of a success. Like, okay, we got him to express, at least in that moment, something that we don't usually see. It's fight week. We talked to this guy 1 million times. Everyone's had their interviews. He's been on every show. And that was like the realest moment in the whole buildup. So for me, that in and of itself is something of a victory. Like, you've created a moment here where you got to see inside the champ's heart. You got to see, like, his passion. When I get home, though, I gotta take a nap. Like, it's been a long day. It's good. So as these stories tend to go, I'm woken up by chimes on my phone. Ting, 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 ting. What the fuck is going on? What's going on? In the interim, he's posted on Instagram just a minute of what is really like a 2.5 minute interview, where it looks so bad. And then he's written like a paragraph, essentially, about having to, like, teach people, like, basically not to be Uncle Tom's and how you gotta, like, straighten it out. And, like, it's a whole, like, civil rights diatribe. And I'm the pincushion, right? Like, I'm the straw man. I'm the guy.
Oh, my God.
And I start to, of course, read the comments. I'm like, well, maybe is there any possible way this is good? Bro, everybody's like, fuck that guy. So, Uncle Tom, Uncle Rugged sellout. I always hated this motherfucker. Like,
oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. I'm also not like a stranger to criticism, not a stranger to YouTube comments. I live on YouTube. It's one of the most vicious places on earth. If you ever want to, like, just get humbled, if you ever feeling too big about yourself, post a YouTube video. Let it sit there for about an hour and then start reading the comments. I don't care who you are. It'll bring it down a notch. But this is another element. Bro, Rihanna was, like, upset. Like,
at you.
At me.
Oh.
I don't want Rihanna mad at me. I don't even know Rihanna. Like, why? I don't want to start our relationship this way. Like, what is going on? Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg's
who
mad,
we
yeah.
all now know can be incredibly vicious when he's upset at somebody over something. Yo,
like nobody.
Yo, teach that seller, like, yeah, put an N-word in his place. Like, bro, Snoop Dogg's mad at me about these things.
No. What are you feeling when this is going on? How many knots are in your stomach?
Bro, I'm panicking. I'm way more comfortable with him shouting in my face and having no idea whether or not, like, this can go any kind of way. But at least I understand the moment. Like, at least I'm in control of half of it.
Right.
This is a train on fire off the rails.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And of course, the more people respond to it, celebrities and other fighters and alike, the more emboldened he is to double down on it. Like, hell, this is a moment. The fight's not selling well. You know what I mean? They've been giving him stick overseas for not being known anywhere. They're saying you can walk down the street and, Eddie Hearn did this video where he's asking people in New York, like, do they know who Deontay Wilder is? And he made a whole video of them saying no. So at this moment, you also have to give context of what's happening in his career. At this moment, he's knocking everybody out. He's WBC heavyweight champion. He can't get the fight to unify with Joshua. They're saying he's a nobody, essentially. He's not worth the money because nobody knows who he is. He's fighting arguably the toughest fight he could have possibly picked. Tyson Fury is an incredibly technical fighter. No one thinks of Deontay Wilder as a technician. Like, they're thinking this guy's going to get outclassed. He could lose his belts this way and not be making, it's not like he made a shit ton of money for that fight. So now that all this attention is on him, and like I said, it's a subject he loves to talk about, he's a hero. He's like a champion of Black America in this moment. The only, I'm just I'm collateral damage. I'm just a casualty.
Boost the fuck out of that fight, though.
Ticket sales through the roof. The moment's viral. It's everywhere. People didn't even know the fight was happening until this meme just is in their inboxes. People are like,
look at this.
Look at this.
The "to this day" meme is taking over the internet, and it'll speak to your soul.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This became like the flagship moment for Black woke people to tell, the Black
the meme
sellout
too.
class.
It's Kermit with a fucking oxygen mask on, and it says, "You still on your parents' phone? Me dot with to this day."
Right.
The fucking internet. The internet is so goddamn funny.
It's undefeated.
Oh my god.
But at this point, it's kicking my ass.
Oh my god. Hey. God damn, dude.
Yeah. So as this thing gets bigger and bigger, I start to realize that it's well out of my control, and then I have to start to think about what my role really is. It's not about me. It's not, what I do isn't so that people can feel one way or another about me. It's really, again, taking myself back to that initial moment of showing them something about the fighter that they haven't seen. Let's get a look inside this guy and get him to share something, usually just verbally, that they didn't know, or that he didn't come to the room expecting to share.
Right.
And I support people understanding the culture from which we come as Black Americans. I wanted to give him the stage to do exactly that.
Right.
Didn't turn out like I expected. But it did become an iconic, civil rights, I guess, type of moment. It became one of those things that people identify with. Black power, Black information being like, yo, this is what we're experiencing. Yeah. And this is how deep it still runs at that time in 2018.
Did you think about it, in retrospect, how could I have phrased that better? I mean, I'm sure you did, right? What could you have said? Because you wanted to get that out of there. You wanted to get him to expand on it.
I think that it was exactly the right thing at the right time. I couldn't have predicted in a million years it would have went that way, but that's the way it was supposed to go. If I had phrased it so-called better, and he had given a more reasoned, thoughtful answer, we wouldn't be sitting here.
He would have made less money too.
The fight would have sold less tickets, less pay-per-views. No, that wouldn't have went viral. You wouldn't have gave a shit about my side of the story. Like, the moment doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's the beauty of
you were telling me in the back of the Comedy Store, I'm like, oh shit, that's you.
Right.
Oh my God.
So the blessing and the angle on the camera work in some regard is some people don't know it's me. And I'm so happy for that.
Oh my God.
But the ones who do, there's enough who do. So I'm telling you, Joe, every day since then, it's been over a year now, someone, somewhere, every time I've left my home, and sometimes while I'm still in it, has shouted in my face, to this day. That's how they say hello. Some people don't even know my name. To this day. To this day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But, hey, man, it's a godsend, really. It's something that captured everybody's attention in a moment. And if it had been anything else, I can't imagine how it would have done that.
Right, it wouldn't have. No, it had to be that crazy in his eyes because he's so ramped up getting ready for that fight and he's so angry. And he takes the glasses off. I'm like, I remember watching it. I was nervous. I was nowhere near him.
Yeah.
You must have been shitting your pants.
Okay.
But you know him, right? So you probably weren't shitting your pants, but you're probably like very uncomfortable.
I absolutely was not shitting my pants. I wasn't. In fact, in the exchange, I'm quite calm.
Right.
I'm just trying. On the one hand, I'm trying to figure out what's happening in the beginning because I didn't understand like the rage being directed at me. I'm telling you, for a minute I thought he was just talking to white America. I was like, yeah, get him. You know what I mean? I'm halfway through this thing.
Oh my goodness!
This is my bad. According to him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, get him.
But so once he's like, I'm done, oh man, like he just walks off in disgust. I then find him 20 minutes later and I interview him again. This time, in much more calm and reasoned fashion, I let him lay out what it was about, what I expected to happen the first time. A lot of people have seen it. Not a fraction of the people who've seen that. I do know the guy, but as you know, these people are warriors, man. Yeah. And their blood's running high, and he saw red. Like at that time, we weren't friends, we weren't homies. He didn't remember Belfast. He thought I was coming for him. Right. So even though I know him, I don't know him. No, you know what I mean? I don't know what's really gonna happen in this moment.
Right.
I'm just doing my job. Like I can't be afraid to do that. So whatever happens in this moment, this is what's going to be.
You got a great perspective on it, though. You're so right that without that moment blowing up like that, the fight doesn't become as big as it is. The meme doesn't exist. You don't become more popular.
Right. And he even did like a segment before a fight on Showtime where he went through he had like a Black History segment like on Showtime because of this. Wow. Like it actually created a moment that put him in position to be the kind of representative of that issue that he wanted to be. And it gave me an opportunity to be seen, even though in a lot of quarters initially negatively, I was also seen as the journalist who pulled that out. Like, I'm the other guy. I'm the guy on the other side of that camera that, yes, created that moment. And I've been doing this long enough to where my fan base, people who know my work, who understand me, they know that I think they know I'm not an idiot. And I like to think they know I'm not a sellout, but they don't really know me because I don't ever make it about me. I don't like this interview we're having is a unicorn. Like I've maybe done 3 or 4 or 5 of these in my entire life where I'm talking about my perspective on anything. I'm entirely showing up at every press conference, every fight, every weigh-in, every media workout, trying to get something out of the fighter to be consumed by the audience in a way that maybe they hadn't seen it before. Not just for the audience's sake, but I want the fighter to get in touch with something. Like, there's so many of these platitude questions and the same old shit, and nobody's really like digging deep. These aren't one-dimensional characters. These aren't actual bulls. These aren't just gladiators. They're fathers. They're sons. They're like, they have civil rights issues. They have cultural things they're bringing to this thing. They have all like depression. We know all the things that fighters go through, but they only want to show you one side. Because they don't want to show any vulnerability. And their fans aren't interested in like anything other than who's up and who's down if that's all you're feeding them.
Yeah.
So I try to get out of the way. I don't want to get in front of the work. So when people see me in this light, a lot of people are just like, oh, this guy must be a fucking Uncle Tom then. If Wilder, Rihanna, and Snoop Dogg think so, clearly that's who this guy is.
Have you talked to Snoop since?
No, I didn't talk to Snoop then. He just put it on Instagram. That's what I'm saying.
Oh no.
But I have talked to Wilder many times since then. And to this guy's credit, never, even the 20 minutes after, you're right. We did know each other. We do have a history. And he is now knowing the moment they created and knowing what he did to me in that moment has always been especially gracious. He's always been especially helpful. I can always get access to him. We have a bond now. Like, we share this thing that's inextricable no matter what happens. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.